Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Watersong's Workshop, the place where I work on my character ideas, try out art challenges, and try to make your day a little bit brighter. So if you're new to my channel, or don't remember from my previous videos, let me catch you up to speed. Not only am I a self-taught artist, I'm also a dungeon master for a homebrew campaign. And in this campaign, I am turning Pokemon into D&D characters, while the legendary and mythical Pokemon are becoming the deities. In this upcoming campaign, my friends will be the main party that will join an underground rebellion trying to take back the kingdom of Windspoon from a group of dragons that have claimed it as their own. I am currently prepping some of the main characters that the party will meet, and in the process, showing you how I came up with all of these characters. This video is also a continuation of What If Evolutions Were D&D Characters Part 1 and 2, so if you haven't seen those videos, I recommend checking them out as well. Before we get too far into this video, you're going to notice something different in my sketch phase that I recently learned about and wanted to experiment with. I've recently been learning about the importance of shape language in concept art and how different shapes portray different personality types. Based on what I've learned, characters with round shapes tend to be bubbly, cute, harmless, and friendly, such as Baymax from Big Hero 6, Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls, or Toad from Super Mario Bros. Square shapes show stubbornness, toughness, and inflexibility, like Anger from Inside Out, Optimus Prime from Transformers, or Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph. Triangular shapes can express unpredictability, a flair for the dangerous, and competitiveness. Some characters that show this are Spyro from Spyro, Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, and Batman from Batman. Sometimes you can even combine shapes to show multiple parts of a character's personality. Take SpongeBob. His square shape shows his tenacity for being the best fry cook ever, but the circles throughout his design show how bubbly and friendly he is. But with that long tangent out of the way, let me show you my interpretations of Pokemon as D&D characters and how I use shape language to help showcase their personalities. Deep in the forest near Pinewood Top is a beautiful pond filled with glowing mushrooms and floating balls of light. Late at night, many strange and wonderful fey creatures dance along the edge of the water without a care in the world. Beneath a nearby willow tree sits a human with his trusty boomerang and his favorite hat. He scans the tree line, looking out for any harm that could befall these creatures. This is Britomar Cobb, the self-appointed guardian of the Fae that live in this forest, and a folk-tale hero of the nearby village. Britomar has always been a wild child. He would leap from branch to branch as a child and get into fights with anyone who would try to pick on someone else. He grew up to be a jack-of-all-trades ranger, who is heavily influenced by his morals and does his best to keep the peace. When the dragon attacks happened, he was afraid for the people and the creatures in the forest and decided he needed to do something. He ran into the village and saw Ruad Dryartham, among others, attempting to fight the beast, and ran to their aid. Realizing they were fighting a losing battle, Britomar told Ruad to get as many people out as he could, while Britomar would try to make a safe haven for some of the people deep in the woods. Ruad left for the Elven Cove, and Britomar has not been seen since, though there is hope that he set out what he accomplished to do. Have you guessed what Pokemon Britomar is inspired by? Well, it's Bayleaf. So, assuming my players do find him, let's talk about his stats. As I said earlier, he is a jack of all trades, so his abilities are all pretty good, with none of them falling below a 12. His best stat is his wisdom. His survival instincts are amazing, and his knowledge about creatures and herbs are top-notch. Next is a tie with dexterity and constitution. He loves jumping through trees, and his determination keeps him going longer than most, so he's very much an athletic guy with some fast movements and some stamina. And his last three stats, strength, intelligence, and charisma, are all tied. He has some muscle, he knows his history and nature facts, and he's pretty charismatic. All of these make him a very well-rounded character in and out of battle. On top of that, Britomar also has a good assortment of spells that he can use, such as Thorn Whip, Hail of Thorns, Healing Spirit, Daylight, Conjure Woodland Beings, and Wrath of Nature. Lastly, before we move on to the next character, let's talk about the design choices I made. As you saw, I started off with a bunch of triangle shapes to really hone in on that wild and danger-loving nature of his. And then, I added a lot of circular patterns within his design to show his kind heart so that his personality really stood out. The colors I chose were from Bayleaf, but they actually aided the narrative a bit. The cool green shows how calm and protective Britomar is, while the warm yellow highlights his energetic and friendly side. But yeah, this is my interpretation of what Bayleaf would look like if he was a Fey Wanderer Ranger. High atop the white stone walls of Cetria City, the soldiers patrol from the watchtowers, ensuring the safety of the citizens. One of the spear guards removes his helmet to get a better view of the port city and breathe in the salty air that he's grown to love. His skin glows from the lava deep in his body, and in place of hair, a mohawk made entirely of fire ignites from the top of his head. This fire ganassi's name is Lormark Rogar, and this city is the place he cares about the most. When Lormark was a young little ember, he was protected from a wolf attack by the brave soldiers of Cetria City. From that day onward, those were his heroes, and he wanted nothing more than to protect others in the city like they did. Unfortunately, his parents were strict and expected certain family obligations from him, such as taking over his family's restaurant. Lormark was infamous for burning anything he tried to cook, and expressed to his family his goals, but that left him disowned and abandoned. He developed a stoic disposition to protect his heart, but was occasionally prone to fiery outbursts of anger. So, he decided to train at the Frost Peak Village Monastery to reel in his emotions. When he decided to return to Cetria City, he was readily accepted into the city guard like he had always dreamed. On the day of the dragon attacks, Lormark was stationed in the shopping district watchtower when he saw Tiasha Dryertham run out to him. She explained that she felt something dangerous about to happen, and that she needed to get the people to safety. He turned around to look at the skyline, and sure enough, a large red-winged monster was heading straight towards them. The soldiers valiantly tried to hold off Mijia, but she broke through anyways and began attacking the city. Eventually, Tiasha made it out with some citizens and one of her siblings. Looking back one last time to see the tower where Lormark was posted collapsing into a flaming pile of ash, she could only hope that he had survived. My inspiration for this character is based off of the Pokemon Quilava. Let's view his stats now. Lormark is a Way of the Four Elements monk specializing in fire, and a Rune Knight fighter, so we know he's going to be a strong boy with some fiery flair. His strongest stat is his constitution. He has endured a lot in his lifetime, and that has given him some tough skin and resilience to what life throws at him. Next up is his strength. All of his training being a soldier has helped him stay strong and athletic. Next is a tie between dexterity and wisdom. The agility and maneuverability comes from his training as well, but the wisdom comes from that time where he had to learn to survive on his own. Second to last is his intelligence. He is moderately smart, definitely middle of the class, and his dump stat is his charisma. He has a good heart, but his permanent scowl and his tendencies to erupt in anger occasionally make him not as likable as he could be. Now, usually I'd go over spells here, but Lormark has very few spells. He has a lot of cool abilities that add to his fiery aesthetic, such as his fire and smoke runes, and his monk abilities like Fangs of the Fire Snake, Sweeping Cinder Strike, and Flames of the Phoenix. But his only few spells are related to him being a fire genasi. Finally, let's talk about his design aspects. You'll notice I started this design with some square shapes. I really wanted to show off his tough, strong personality, and then I added in a few triangle-like shapes with his trench coat and hair to display his slightly volatile nature. I also had a bunch of fun trying to make the lava cracks in his skin and the burnt pieces of his cloak. I'd also like to imagine that Tiasha herself made the coat mostly fireproof, especially for Lormark. But here's the finished piece, my interpretation of Quilava as a monk/fighter. Deep in the dark waters of the Spectoria Marsh, near where the belladonna grow, a lizard folk hides in waiting for her next hunt. She's not yet used to this new life. The open ocean still calls to her. With her trusty glaive in hand, she knows she's at least capable of surviving for now. This is Korith Knuckleshaw, a path of the beast barbarian, and her fall from glory is a tragic tale. Korith was once the proud captain of the SS Silverjaw, a fine vessel with an amazing crew. She was the roughest and most intimidating captain to sail this side of Freyn Erash. Her first mate, Pyshur Dryertham, would help her plan the routes to ship cargo to and from Corbo, Sveetice, and Windspoon. Unfortunately, Korith got a bit greedy one day and got her ship involved with a group of pirates. And when she couldn't follow through on her end of the deal, she realized that she had put her crew in a large amount of peril. Caring deeply for her crew, and not wanting to have any harm befall them or herself, she vowed to never ride on the sea again, and confined herself to a shack on the outskirts of Spectoria town, keeping herself hidden from the world as much as possible. She considers herself a coward for that choice, and forever lives in regret for not standing up to the pirates. As you may or may not have guessed at this point, this character was inspired by Croconaw. When the dragon attacks happened, Korith was left all alone, so she decided to do what she'd been doing for years: hide and wait. She kept to herself in her rundown shack, and used her books to learn how to forge weapons and armor, using animal pellets, downed trees, and iron deposits, in hopes that one day she could have her swamp back. I realized through all of her story, I haven't mentioned any part of her rage, and why this makes her a barbarian. Well, I thought of a fun twist to the normal barbarian anger. I thought it would be fun, instead of her screaming into a rage to get her powers going, she uses her self-loathing and her spite to fuel her. So let's talk about stats. At the top spot, most obviously, is her strength. Look at her, she could rip you apart without breaking a sweat. Actually, do crocodiles sweat? Google says no, so I guess that's a bad analogy. Next up is her constitution. Being used to the waves battering you and having tough skin, I can imagine she would have a strong life essence. Next up is her charisma. Korith knows how to make deals with people, and when she is angry, she can become insanely intimidating. Next is a tie between wisdom and dexterity. She knows how to be stealthy and survive in the wilderness, but outside of that, there's nothing of note that she needs for these stats to be much better. Her dump stat is intelligence. She lives in her own world by her own rules. She's not interested in book smarts when she's getting by just fine, except for learning how to make weapons and armor. As long as she has her glaive and personality, she's good to go. Now, normally I'd talk about spells here, but being a barbarian and a lizard folk, she does not have any magical tendencies. Good thing she's got plenty of strength. Now for the design aspects. I also gave Korith a lot of triangular shapes to show how dangerous and intimidating she is. I'm sure you also saw the frustration I had in drawing that one hand. I had to come back the next day to figure it out, because it was frustrating me so much. But my favorite part of this was trying to figure out the texture of her skin and how the colors could blend together. I really hope you like my interpretation of Croconaw as a barbarian. High up in the mountains, on the western side of Windspoon, a half-orc acolyte stands over the fields of a farmer with hands clasped and head bowed. O great Ferurin, protector of nature and demigod of fertility, bless this harvest and protect the people here in Solmisan as the harsh summer approaches. A rumbling thunder is heard in the distance, and the half-orc smiles, knowing her prayers have been heard. She gives a bow to the farmer, her armor rattling with every small movement. This is the Nature Domain Cleric, Yvelda Zutar, the wandering priest from Pinewood Top. As a young girl, she often would help her mother out in the garden and would be fascinated watching the plants grow so big so fast. One day, while out gathering herbs in the woods, she got lost and started to get scared. But then, a gentle voice called out to her, telling her to follow the white deer. Sure enough, a glowing deer stood before her and led her all the way home before disappearing. Yvelda later read about what sort of miracle this was, and found that it was Ferurin, the demigod of justice and nature, who had guided her. Ever since, she's become a devout follower and decided to spread the word to cities outside of her town. She made her way to Solmisan and started her own church there. She became one of the protectors of the town, and even became a host to a few of the Solmisan College students, such as Fidenis Triarthum. You will never see her without her trusty shield, which has the colors of Ferurin painted on it. Were you able to guess what Yvelda's design was based on? I feel like we should be playing Who's That Pokemon? Because it's Exeggutor! So, then the dragon attacks happened. Everyone was caught off guard, The city fell into complete disarray. The protectors of the city tried to find a safe haven for the citizens as quickly as possible. Yvelda did her best to distract the dragon, while Fidenis used her illusion magic to sneak out of the city with her sister and a few civilians. The two have kept in contact through Fidenis' telepathic communication, but there's now a strange layer of static that wasn't there before. Now let's talk about Yvelda's stats. Her highest stat is her intelligence. She knows about nature, religion, medicine, and the history of the realm, so she has a well-rounded set of knowledge. I know it's an odd stat to be the best for an orc, but she's no ordinary orc. Next, there is a tie between strength, constitution, and wisdom. Being an orc, she has natural strength and is pretty tanky, and being a nature cleric, she knows how to survive in the wilderness and understand how people work. Second to last is her charisma. She's super friendly and kind, but unfortunately, because of her looks, not everyone trusts her, so her charisma is not as high as it should be. Her lowest score is her dexterity. Because of her big frame and clanky armor, sneaking is something that she is abysmal at. For her spells, Yvelda is a protector and healer, which means that she has a great variety of helpful spells, such as Guidance, Shield of Faith, Prayer of Healing, Daylight, Guardian of Faith, Tree Stride, Hero's Feast, Regenerate, Control Weather, and Mass Heal. As you can see, she has a great mix of utility, buffing, and healing spells, making her a wonderful supportive character. As far as her design goes, I wanted to capture her kind and protective personality with a bunch of circular shapes, and I wanted to make sure I could show off her clanky chainmail and circular metal plates that go around her. I definitely messed up on the anatomy on her left arm, but I didn't realize exactly what it was until after I had finished recording, so I'll fix that in post. I also struggled with the skin tone a bit. I couldn't find the right shade of green to complement her colors without accidentally making it a bit muddy. But overall, I'm still very proud with how this turned out, so this is my interpretation of Exeggutor as a Nature Domain cleric. And that is everyone for this video. I hope you enjoyed all of their stories and that hearing about this world has helped it come even more alive. I think I've also come up with a name for this campaign as well. I think I'm going to call it Dragon's Ascent. So what do you think? Would you like me to try an art challenge next, or continue to turn Pokemon into D&D characters? Let me know in the comments below. If you like my work, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of 2024, and I'm already at 71, so I'm super close to hitting my goal. So until next time, keep being fantastic, and I'll see you around. Welcome to Watersong's Workshop, the place where the place where I stumble all over my words. So if you haven't seen those videos, I recommend them. Deep in the forest near Pinewood Top is a beautiful something. Something's beautiful up there. A jack-of-all-trades ranger who is heavily influenced by his morals, and is as fair as he believes to keep peace. What? What did I write? Is as fair as he believes to keep peace? What the fuck does that even mean? Realizing they were fighting a losing battle. No, that sounded too happy. Make me not sound like a bitch, Sam. Can you do that? Is that possible? Britomar also has a good assortment of spells he can use, such as... Wow. Oh, there's a period that I, just jumped over. This Fire Ganassi's name is Lormak Rook. Sure. Come on, mouth. Work with me. I accidentally typed in Ho's emotions instead of his. And a Rune Knight fighter, so we know he's going to be strong. Did I really type? Okay. So we know he's going to be a strong boy with some fiery flair. That's what I typed. That's okay. This is what we're going with. Yeah, that sounds cringy. I'm committing. Apparently I can't type, because it says, but the wisdom coax. Finally, let's talk about his... One more time. Finally, let's talk about his design aspects. Design aspects? I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Is it still going? I hope it's still going. It just closed the screen. Oops. Oops. Okay, it says it's still recording, so we're gonna go with yes. Although I can't find my mouse now, so that's gonna be a fun thing to figure out later. I don't even know how I'd make my mouse hide. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers.